On the surface, the world of cultivation is the path to immortality that mortals dream of, but in reality, it harbors a cruel set of rules no different from those of secular society. As the camera slowly pans across the stunningly beautiful women, we see not only breathtaking battles and mysterious techniques, but also scenes of tragic fate steeped in helplessness and struggle. Since the premiere of the animated series A Record of a Mortal's Journey to Immortality, the destinies of numerous female characters have captivated countless viewers. Their choices between family, sex, cultivation, and self form the most poignant emotional undercurrent of the work. The newly introduced Yan Ruyan, with her complex and profound situation, offers us a fresh perspective on the existential predicament of women in the cultivation world. Boundless immortal and mortal realms, the power struggle behind arranged marriages. The so-called cultivation world operates on the same logic as the human world. It is rife with deceit, the exchange of interests, and the jungle law of the strong prevailing at its extreme. In such an environment, attaching oneself to the strong becomes a tacitly accepted, even institutionalized, survival strategy. Many cultivation families and sects regard marriage alliances as a crucial means of forging alliances, consolidating their status, and weaving vast networks of relationships through blood ties to secure a place in the fierce competition for limited resources. From Chen Qiaoqian initially, to Peiling later, and now Yan Ruyan, they have all been placed at the negotiating table with family interests as bargaining chips. Their lives, from birth, are imbued with the attributes of commodities, destined to become a high-stakes gamble concerning the rise and fall of their families. These three women all come from cultivation families, which is both their fortune and the root of their misfortune. Fortunately, they enjoy the protection of their families and a certain level of cultivation resources from a young age. At least reaching the foundation establishment stage is not out of reach for them. Unfortunately, when they need to advance further to the core formation stage, the support their families can provide is often insufficient unless their spiritual roots are exceptionally outstanding. It's worth the family's gamble. This is the starting point of the tragedy. If they want to continue to achieve something on the path of immortality, they must make a choice. They faced two choices: either marry into another aristocratic family to integrate resources and share risks, or marry a high-ranking cultivator to secure protection for their family. Behind both choices lay immense uncertainty. The lucky ones might retain some autonomy in their cultivation as concubines. The unlucky ones might become mere cultivation vessels, their foundations destroyed by the draining of their essence, leaving them with no hope for the rest of their lives. Chen Qiaoqian, cowardice and superiority beneath the halo. Chen Qiaoqian's story is a silent struggle. Under the arrangement of fate, she constantly tested the waters, yet always lacked the courage to take the final step of complete resistance, ultimately ending her short life in melancholy. For those viewers who deeply pity Chen Qiaoqian, perhaps we need to examine this character more calmly. She actually carried the distinct mark of an aristocratic scion, harboring a subtle yet deeply ingrained sense of superiority over rogue cultivators. Recalling the scene at the Tainan small gathering, when senior brother Lu relentlessly harassed Han Yunji, Chen Qiaoqian remained silent throughout. This silence itself was a form of acquiescence. Later, when senior brother Lu wanted to fight Han Li, her intervention wasn't out of a sense of justice, but rather out of concern that the conflict would affect their eligibility to enter Huangfeng Valley. Even more intriguing is her casual tossing of the testing bid with her back to Han Li during the spiritual root testing. The contempt and disdain it conveyed were unmistakable. Chen Qiaoqian's inability to break free from her family's constraints largely stemmed from her inability to relinquish the halo and resources bestowed upon her by her aristocratic family status. She lingered on the edge of her comfort zone, resentful of her fate yet unwilling to bear the potential consequences of resistance. This internal conflict ultimately trapped her. Peiling, a rebellious flower nourished by strong liquor. In stark contrast to Chen Qiaoqian is Peiling's indomitable spirit of resistance. From beginning to end, she confronted the arrangements imposed by her family head-on, even risking her life to break free from the shackles that were about to imprison her, using Han Li's name as leverage. Of course, there was an element of luck involved. If Han Li hadn't considered their past camaraderie, Peiling's fate might have been drastically different for any other nascent soul cultivator. But what deserves more attention is her resoluteness. When her family threatened to cut off her cultivation resources, Peiling didn't hesitate for a moment, resolutely turning away. This determination stemmed from her most primal yearning for freedom and her deepest aversion to having her fate arbitrarily manipulated. Her dashing posture as she drank wine with her head tilted back is reminiscent of the legendary figure known for his untamed spirit Dongfang Bubi. Peiling's choice tells us that even under the harshest oppression, individuals retain the right and possibility to say no, even if such resistance comes at a great cost. For Yan Ruyan, the unbearable weight of a heavenly spiritual root. Yan Ruyan, however, carries an even heavier burden than the previous two. As a rare possessor of a heavenly spiritual root, she is destined to bear the weight of great responsibility with great power. Her father staked the future of the entire Yan family fortress, and even the lives of the entire clan, on her marriage, making even the most basic right to choose a luxury. Her fate was decided by others even while she was unconscious. Although the ghost spirit sect provided her with intensive training, it's clear from Wang Chen's attitude towards her in chapter 174 that she never received genuine respect. The torment of sharing a bed and cultivating with someone who saw her as a tool is unimaginable. Yan Ruyan was in a long-term state of repression, enduring, and feeling powerless, but her secret communication with Hong Li revealed a glimmer of hope. She hadn't completely resigned herself to her fate and was still waiting for a chance to break free. Wang Chen's death, at Hong Li's behest, was a complex ending for Yan Ruyan. It was certainly a relief the Yan family finally controlled the ghost spirit sect. Her clan was preserved, her father's wishes were fulfilled, and she seemed to have gained freedom from years of repression. But ironically, she and Wang Cheng practiced a dual cultivation technique. With Wang Chen's death, her cultivation would be severely hampered. Even with years of marriage in name only, and no emotional foundation, her husband's death was still a desecration and a wound to her. From then on, she was destined to face a lonely old age. Her path severed. Wasn't this another form of punishment? Although Yan Ruyan was a favored daughter of heaven, she ultimately couldn't escape a life of being used and sacrificed. Her story is the most poignant commentary on the idea that talent is a curse. The different paths, same destination, the pursuit of freedom amidst a tragic fate. Chen Qiaoqian, Peiling, and Yan Ruyan, three women from similar backgrounds, yet due to differences in personality, circumstances, and choices, they embarked on vastly different life trajectories. They were all political sacrifices for their families' maintenance of status, spending their lives searching for their own freedom. Chen Qiaoqian was timid and constrained by her privileged life. Peiling dared to rebel but needed to rely on powerful figures. Yan Ruyan carried a heavy burden and couldn't escape her fate. Their stories collectively depict the complex landscape of women's lives in the world of cultivation. Here, beauty and talent can become burdens, and family background and resources often mean shackles. Through the faith of these female characters, a record of a mortal's journey to immortality raises a profound question. How much autonomy does an individual truly possess in the face of overwhelming structural oppression? Will they succumb to inner conflict like Chen Qiaoqian, gamble everything for freedom like Peiling, or find a delicate balance between forbearance and responsibility like Yan Ruyan? Behind each choice lies the helplessness and compromise of a specific circumstance. The path to immortality is long and arduous, the great though merciless. These women, through their lives, depict the cruel and realistic side of the cultivation world. Their stories remind us that the so-called path to immortality is often paved with the sacrifices and compromises of countless individuals, and those who struggle against the torrent of fate, regardless of their ending, deserve to be seen and remembered. Because in them, we see not only the tragedy of beautiful women with tragic fates, but also the inextinguishable free will of humanity in the face of adversity, a light perhaps more precious than any cultivation technique.